All right, folks, you can take a few steps, right there, a few steps.
Forward.
Closer, get into the sun. All right, so, how was it?
Nice.
Cool.
Okay. All right. So I'm not sure. Are you filming or you taking a picture? Because if you take a picture, I got to post.
Okay, we can pose. Go ahead. Go ahead.
There you go. That works.
Okay. So what you just did, you crossed from west to east. The ship is docked on the western part of the island. We saw the lighthouse back there. That's on the most eastern tip. So the body of water we see there, that whole coastline is the east coast. So you cross west to east. Now Bonaire is 24 miles long and 7 miles wide. How do you remember that?
24/7.
24/7. 24/7. What you said? Hours of days?
Hours and days.
24 and 7 days. Okay, stay with me, huh, folks? There's someone back there? I saw a shadow. Yeah, I gotta keep my eyes on. Okay, so 24/7, and we got about 24,000 inhabitants on the island. And it fluctuates, so 24-ish, you can say it fluctuates quite a bit because since 2010, that is October 10, we refer to the year as 10-10-10. That's when the Netherlands Antilles dissolved. Before I continue, let me ask, did you visit Bonaire, Aruba?
Yes.
And Curacao?
Not yet. Tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. Okay. Well, the three islands, the ABC Islands, we share a lot of history together and so forth. Matter of fact, I was born and raised in Aruba. I lived a little bit in Curacao, living here now in Bonaire. So I kind of know them all. However, back to the 2010, my way back in the 1600s when the Netherlands Antilles was 6 islands. Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, St. Martin, Saba, and Statia. So Aruba separated in 1985, and the other 5 islands, the Netherlands Antilles of the 5 islands, that constellation dissolved, don't exist anymore. Now they refer to all the islands as the Dutch Caribbean. That said, we have now that if we travel, well, let's say the 3 islands, Aruba, Curacao, and St. Martin, they are like independent within the kingdom, to make it simple. In other words, they kind of run their own business. They have their own immigration, they have their own police force. The only difference is that the Netherlands, they oversight of financial oversight and whatever foreign affairs, and also the defense. So we do have the Dutch Marine base there. Now, Bonaire, Curacao, Bonaire, St. Martin, Bonaire, Statia, and Saba, these 3 islands we became a special province. So if you travel from Holland to Aruba, Bonaire, Aruba, Curacao, or St. Martin, you're traveling to another country. But if you travel from Holland to Bonaire, Saba, or Statia, it's like you're traveling Rotterdam to Amsterdam, New York to Seattle, US to Hawaii, kind of thing. And for that reason, it became easier for them to integrate or to live here because they don't need a permit to work, just show up and get a job, kind of thing. If you do to the other islands, you need to have proof of a contract, of any kind of security that you can sustain yourself, pretty much. That's how it works. Like kind of like a green card. But here not, where the Dutch is concerned. So for that reason, they fluctuate quite a bit. Now, so if you go back home and your folks ask you, where were you on the cruise? And you say, well, we were at Bonaire. They'll be like, Bonaire? Never heard about Bonaire. That's a fact. Not many people knows about Bonaire. And then they will ask you, so, how large is Bonaire?
24/7.
What's the population?
24-ish.
Then they will ask you, what do they speak there?
Dutch.
Well, if you have been to Aruba, you will be paying attention.
Yeah.
Pimiento.
That's okay.
Papamiento.
You got it close. The ABC Islands, like I said, we share a lot of history, and you can find the Papiamento here on the three islands strong now. Actually, if you take the dictionary or the word lexicon from the island of Cabo Verde, which is west from Africa, which was a slave port, and you take our dictionaries and the Papiamento, you put them together, there's not much difference. We are influenced by the Dutch because we are Dutch island. Sorry. And also we are pretty much influenced by the Spanish because we're just 90 miles away. Matter of fact, growing up here, most of us can speak the full languages. Growing up here, well, let me use myself an example. In Aruba, I grew up in an area where they spoke English, where the refinery was settled, and you had a lot of the, the folks on different islands came down and worked there. So I grew up speaking English at home. In school, it's a Dutch education system is Dutch, that's all you get. 5th grade, you get the other languages, yes. And the Spanish, growing up as little kids back then, we had no cable. So we just had 2 channels from South America, and everything was translated. From the Jetsons to the Flintstones, Popeye, Scooby-Doo, they all translated. So that's how we grew up, and that's how we kind of pick up on the Spanish. And then the Papiamento I was busy explaining, because of the slaves and mixed with Portuguese, and we are so close by also with the Indians, because there are some Indian words also in our Papiamento, and because we are so close to South America also, it influenced the Papiamento. So to make it simple, a simple example, the word house in Spanish, casa. Mm-hmm. They write it in Spanish with a C-A-S. Let's see. And we refer to cas as in with a K-A-S, and that because of the influence of the Dutch. That's pretty much how it works. Okay, so class dismissed. Now, leaving from here, we're going to go into the cave a little while, but leaving from here, we will be headed towards the lighthouse. And the lighthouse, as you have noticed, it's all the way on the eastern tip of the island, very sharp, jagged coral rocks. Vehicles cannot get up there. So what we will do as guides, we will ask you for your phone. You'll be doing this. And we'll be glad to take a picture of you with your phone, of you on the vehicle, on the ATV or in the buggy with a lighthouse in the background.
Mm. Cool.
Yeah, I know I'm nice, thank you. Follow me.
You want to hold it a little? No? Maybe you want it. It's just to watch where I'm going.